Okay, welcome everyone to the 73rd Knowledge Seekers Workshop of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. It's Thursday, August 6th, 2015, and we'll start the workshop today with the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute promotional video. This one has the Italian subscripts. Would you like to go ahead with that, Kevin, please?
Where does humanity go from here? What have we tried to do? What if there is more, much more? The Keshe Foundation is proud to announce a new way to bring humanity forward through technology that brings humanity in line with the natural operation of the planet and universe itself. The new science and technology discovered and developed by the nuclear engineer Moran Keshe centers upon the use and control of magnetical gravitational fields. This new body of knowledge opens the road to hundreds of potential applications, which offer solutions to most of the fundamental problems of the world, such as water, food, environmental contamination, and shortages of energy. The Keshe Foundation is proud to unveil the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. The Institute will be able to provide students and staff an immersive way to learn the plasma technology, to be the leaders of the new generation of scientists and plasma engineers. The Keshe Foundation has opened the door to the world for peaceful usage of technology that is independent of the limited resources that are available on Earth. This is an understanding of how everything works together in harmony in our universe, and it applies to everything from the smallest to the biggest, from atoms to galaxies. We all are able to collectively work together in pursuit of knowledge, innovation, and solutions for our society. This learning environment is new to the world, where there will be no test to confirm your understanding. The knowledge of everyone will be respected and allowed to flourish in a nurturing environment. Hands-on testing and experimenting will be widely used in conjunction with roundtable discussions to bring all opinions and knowledge forward. Students will be introduced to a change in the ethos of working in collaboration. Students will experience firsthand how we share knowledge in a free and open manner. Graduating students are expected to share the knowledge they gain from the university within their respective communities and nations. All formal teachings, lectures, and presentations will be in the English language, with technology available for immediate translation. Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute will be offering 3-year executive master programs for undergraduate degree students and 1-year executive master programs for graduate degree students in the following fields: space transportation, new plasma technology, health, agriculture, materials, energy. The health section is designed to make students able to live in space without the need to return to Earth. To this end, the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute has found processes for many diseases including ALS, cancer, coma, epilepsy, multiple sclerosis. Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute will offer online teaching courses which will enable anyone, anywhere around the world to enroll and increase their knowledge and understanding. Students will have the opportunity to direct their work towards commercial spin-offs and seek funding through the help of the Keshe Foundation. The access to the new science and new technologies is openly available for peaceful use to the benefit of mankind to make a better world today. Now you can be part of the changing world and the new knowledge. All commercial spin-offs are intended to be open source and patent-free. This is part of the core ethos of the Keshe Foundation and the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute will have its official inauguration on April 21st, 2015, with courses commencing soon after on May 4th, 2015. The students of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute will be the leaders of the future who will make changes in all areas of space technology, science, medicine, agriculture, and energy. Anyone is able to apply, but acceptance is through invitation only. No prerequisites are required. We will be accepting approximately 250 students for the 3-year Executive Master's Program and 120 students for the 1-year Executive Master's Program. We welcome humanities participation in the knowledge of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute. Where does humanity go from here? That is up to you. Apply today.
That was a promotional video, and I'll just put a screen on for now while we get refocused here, so to speak. Okay, is Mr. Keshe around yet? I'm wondering. Not seeing him on
Still don't see him on the list there, Rick.
Yeah. All right, then that means we'll have to wing it. As we will have to do if...
I'm sure there was many things brought up last night on the plasma reactor group that maybe you could touch on.
Possibly. Let me... Okay, I'm just trying to get my windows orientated here. Okay, what in particular might have stood out for anybody who was at that meeting of the Keshe Plasma Reactor Group 3 actually last night, because Group 1 and Group 2 got too big, and even Group 3 is too big. So now, actually, instead of going, just to let people know, we're going to try to move to Zoom instead of the Skype for the Keshe Plasma Reactor Group meetings. And that should work out really good, I think, in the future. So does anybody have anything they'd like to say about that? To say about, you see, I know... I think Annabelle was there, and
this is the time for all these future teachers to come forward and start their teaching career.
I see Annabelle doesn't have a microphone. Who else might have? And John Anderson might have something he could say if he would like to. Who else might have been around? Shandor, I'm sure you could make some nice drawings for us. If you're not too busy, that is, doing a dozen other things.
I'm replying, I'm just typing like crazy to all our friends who are asking about how to use the Zoom on mobile phone, or how to use it on the desktop, and so on. So what's the subject, please?
Well, that's the whole subject, is to find a subject that we can discuss, that something maybe that came up last night. You made some drawings last night, for example. Maybe we can...
Last thing, it was about logistics and emails and so on, so please...
Oh, sorry, I meant during the Keshe Plasma Reactor Group, there was... let me see.
Yes, your night was my morning. So
yes, right. That's why I have to be careful saying night and morning and all that. It's all relative, you might say.
Okay. So I was talking about we have got so many nice ideas which we may test in the entire summer. We just got in the 72nd workshop.
Yes.
The ideas which can be used. So it was this Marco's system, for instance. I'm drawing here. These are just tight coils, not like I'm drawing them. Okay, and here is the output. So there are 1, 2, 3 loops circuits. So how about to make them in this way? like this. And to put them in a cylinder, like it was shown by Mr. Keshe, battery substitute, which was fitting in a battery, which had here a plastic frame inside, and it had two coils visible when it was shown, two wires which are coming out, and guns inside. So this was just inside, just it was pulled out. So that was the idea.
That is the hair dryer, Sandor.
Yes.
I'm saying that the one that you just cleaned was built inside the hair dryer.
Last word, repeat, please.
The hair dryer, hair dryer.
Yes, like a hair dryer. Yes, yes. Because you are a technician, you understand the hair dryers have such kind of thing inside, but it is also a piece of plastic with the same thing. So you can find such a things in many other places. So it's just a frame which is holding the wires on it. It's not necessarily a hair dryer, of course, because you have no high heat here.
Yeah.
So you can use such a support and to put in everything in a cylinder. So there are so many variations which can be tried to be done. But the important thing is, I think, to make a proper nano-coating.
Okay. Well, about the nano-coating, one question. You said that Mr. Keshe had that it's a good idea to put some potassium inside.
Yes.
But could be any component of potassium, for example, bicarbonate of potassium could be also, or
why not? Why not carbonate? I know about
chloride.
use the potassium chloride or potassium hydroxide. So it's important the presence of potassium
And carbon also. That's why I'm asking bicarbonate.
And are you talking about the nano-coating process in particular, or the GANs creation process, or both?
No, the nano-coating.
Okay. Because he has talked about the potassium hydroxide being added to the sodium hydroxide as well, as a way to get that potassium element into it, so to speak.
Potassium, what component was it? Chloride?
No, potassium hydroxide.
I
KOH, commonly known as we used to say, KOH.
KOH, yeah. Okay.
Which is part of that's part of, okay, Shandor's showing, let me get it in,
so what's interesting with potassium, a big quantity, a large quantity of the potassium which is naturally occurring, it's isotope potassium 40.
So in any component that carries potassium should be some proportion of this radioactive.
Yes, sure. It's a very weak radioactivity. It's very weak. So you have it in every potato, every banana, every beans, every Nescafe. So don't worry for that. But that's it makes 0.012% of the total amount of potassium found in nature. It has a very long half-life of 1.251 billion years.
Oh. But Mr. Keshe, also suggests, well, we all do, put some degrees of plastic bottles and because of the carbon component. And that's why I'm asking if the bicarbonate potassium will help, but it's a matter of trying, yes.
I don't know whether the carbon from carbonate will enter or will not enter in the reaction, or in what's going to happen. So anyway, the plastic in which you make it, the plastic container contains plenty of carbon.
Yeah.
So you have carbon anyway there.
So does the air with CO2.
Yes. But
go ahead, sorry.
When your plates are attracting attracting the carbon from air, the carbon dioxide, you will find out white spots on your black nano-coated plate while you are holding it in your container where you make the dry conditioning. You not always want that to occur.
Well,
So
I don't like.
meanwhile, we had here some posts. Trevor Vandenburg messaged in the chat a recipe which he used from the beginning of the year in January: 4 cups of boiling water, 19.4 grams sodium hydroxide, also known as Drano, 6.4 grams potassium hydroxide. So maybe 1/3 of the quantity potassium to sodium hydroxide, and 3.2 grams no salt. So no, it's not sodium. Sorry, Trevor, no salt is not sodium. So no salt has no sodium inside. It's a potassium chloride. And 4 Coca-Cola bottle necks with cups free floating. So, okay.
Let's see here.
So by the way, I just before Mr. Kesh will be able to connect, I just want to say the case B. So case A is for energy and for harvesting gases from air, and the case B is when you need a very smooth, very uniform.
Okay, I'm just going to probably just mute my own microphone and pull out the headphones and try to let him talk through the Skype, I guess. I'm not quite sure how to do this yet, if it's going to even work. I might get feedback on the live stream, so I'll have to monitor the live stream, see if it gets feedback.
Okay.
Okay, so okay, I'll pull the mic, pull the headphone. I'm probably going to get some echo in the live stream now, so I'm going to have to kill my voice in the live stream. We'll try to hear Mr. Kesh.
Yes, we can hear very well.
Good day to you. As usual, whenever you listen to these teachings, we have a slight problem as we are on a holiday time, but we try to keep the Thursday workshops going. We are not in the center, and for next 5 or 6 weeks we'll be traveling or teaching from different points around Italy, so we might encounter these kind of problems, but there's enough alternative to see these things through. We try as fast as possible, if we get a network connection, to go back on a Zoom, because things need to be explained in teaching. There are a few things which we have to make as usual. We make announcements beforehand at the beginning. One of the major points for the foundation, and especially for the core team and those who support the foundation in the path of our peace work, peace roadmap. We don't announce a lot of things which are happening in the background, but in the coming days, the foundation with this roadmap, peace work, is facing a huge challenge or a breakthrough. We need a lot of support through our supporters, and the core team knows what they have to do. This is written in past 24 hours, 48 hours. If we achieve what has been put in front of us with the government, we will receive a comprehensive move in the World Peace Roadmap. There are a number of meetings set up in the coming days, trying to emphasize and bring this in conjunction with government. We have passed talking to and sending emails out and sending the roadmap out. This has to be done. We are working on a conjunction with the support or a reply we received through His Excellency President Putin, and the communication with the Duma that it will be picked up after the holidays by the foundation. If the new move, which has taken place and is about to come into its next step, moves forward, we will see the first 21st arm down, or what we call no arm use, in September or October. This will be a huge support and the first support for the foundation. I think today's teaching, whatever we teach, will be irrelevant in what this moves will achieve for the humanity. A lot of you come here to find a way to have a free energy, to have a free or see a flight, or find a way to find a cure for your diseases and your relatives. But a lot of these things, what you are facing, is a consequence of man going the wrong way. Through peace, we will achieve more, much faster. And in a way, by developments in technology, The governments are opening their eyes that there is a need for a new look into the structure, a new look into how these things can change. We will feed, we will supply, we will deliver our energy supplies, as we said, within September. We are on target. Energy systems have been made much more efficient and in development to manufacture the final phase. We have come to a point of change where we can reduce the size of the power supplies even from a Coca-Cola to half or a quarter of the size. This is a lot, depends on the next couple of weeks development, because we can change even though we have paid for the manufacturing. The change is so huge that it's no good putting a system which is out of date already into the market. We still meet the demand, what we have taken up, and at the same time, we see so confident in our work that we have delivered our commitment to the forces in Italy, that we delivered the units to them for testing by the government. So once we produce the first units in the end of this month or beginning of September, we will in turn deliver the units to the forces of Italy for comprehensive testing. So this will be done, and then we will keep to our commitment. On the other hand, road peace map has to be adhered to. We will force through it, we push our way through it. I ask you again, please do not stop sending the road peace map to people. I've seen those people who are against the foundation and are against the work and work for the government agencies putting the road peace map as a spam on internet. If peace is a spam, we spam the whole internet work. And this is exactly what we see. Those who are trying to diminish the work of the foundation in different ways are paid well to make sure that the roadmap does not work by dividing the foundation, by dividing the forces within the foundation. Our target is one thing, delivering everything accordingly. It's the knowledge, no personality. We are delivering a knowledge to change the course of humanity, and those who are against the change and they want to keep the status quo go for personality, because this is the short cycle of their life. We have nothing to do with it. We do not fight with no one. We do not go out and start a process to defend, because they know and we know the target is one thing, change of the course of humanity. So from now on, we do what we have done as before. We are now consolidating all the forces of the Keshe Foundation supporters. What does this mean? We have asked from the Chinese Keshe Foundation to appoint 3 teachers of the Chinese community to become the teachers of the foundation. We know these teachers do not speak English. They speak the beautiful language of their nation. In turn, we have asked for translators to be at the teachings. So what happens in September, October, when we open up for the teaching, your teachers will be of different languages, of different nationality. We have broken through nationality and borders. We are one nation. So it's our job to learn their language, to understand the language of science, not the language of mother. We have to understand each other's language of how we translate the knowledge of the science into its next phase. So we will have French teachers, we will have French-speaking teachers, we have Chinese teachers. I'll ask Lisa to appoint 3 teachers from China for us to start teaching. We'll have the French, we'll have the Germans. We'll bring all the scientists of the elitist knowledge to teach us. We are all knowledge seekers. So in September, there is a setup to be processed within the next weeks where all the curriculums will be filled in by the experts in their fields. They might teach you one day in the morning, once a month or twice a month. And then, as Lisa said, when their knowledge is completed, they cannot transfer, we bring another teacher in another line of expertise. So from September, our teaching will become international teaching. No borders. We all become students at one time in one classroom, and then we move the next session to another part of the world for teaching. We'll equip all the teachers with the best facilities the foundation can supply. Rick calls it a mobile emergency unit, which what Vince says is we put a team together when we have a new teacher or new center. They move in, they're equipped, they go out, and they move on. We did that for test trial in the opening of the foundation last Tuesday in the new center. The workforce came from Canada with Vince, Kevin Devon from Austria, and Richard came in from Holland. For 2 days, they set everything up, all the equipment, they made all the transition, all the transmission, and then they moved out the next day. This cost a lot of money for the foundation, but the peace is worth it. We pay for it to make sure the next generation does not go through war through ignorance of knowledge. So from now on, we will equip groups of teachers in different nations, in different parts of the world, and a task force will be set up as we tested it and it worked. 2 days, 3 days come together in one location, make sure the teaching is done, is complete, and they move on for the next force. We're becoming an international teaching force which has to translate the knowledge. We have taken individuality out of the whole structure. Even yesterday, Kevin Davina put something about one of the keys which we put on we showed last week, and we told him take names out. Is SSI. We work as a team internationally. The knowledge is coming throughout from all of you, not from one man anymore. I show the way you develop it. So in the coming days, Vince, in the next couple of weeks, will divide the forum of the Keshe Foundation in groups. Space, energy, nanotechnology, and medicine, health, materials, and whatever. And we ask you to become the teachers or the guides in these sections. One of the most important ones is after 15th of September, the health unit will be set up. We have brought in the new technology. As we saw, the technology of Professor Lutzi did not work. It was very false. When we investigated it, we have invested in systems. We are investing in people to come into the center in Valletta, and we are setting up a research center to do with the health development. New systems will be introduced. Even the pain pads will be obsolete. In the coming days, the team will be set up to bring new technologies after plasma technology in the safe way. I have no objection. I'm no one to object, but it's my job to warn when something is wrong. None of this technology can be used to intrude the body of the man, unless it's set up to be done as a field. You see my objection when Dr. Elia Kostova showed the needle can be used for inserting into the body. There is a lot of side effects with this, which is wrong. We do not object in way to bring new technology into action, but people who are at the realm of this technology have to understand that a matter and a plasma has to be kept separate. I explained this in the teaching yesterday on the live stream. I think Rick can direct you where it is you can listen to. I explained this very fully. I'll explain it again this morning later on. We will encourage anyone who join us to work with us, but there's one guideline. If you break the rule and come to learn and go on patent, we go for everything possible within our field forces of the Keshe Foundation connection to stop the process. No one, there are no excuses can come and learn and patent in the background. We find out, we'll expose it the way we did in cases. It was not to harm. What to show, to do such a ethos is to share knowledge. Doesn't matter what excuse people. Honestly, it's not acceptable by the people who come to honestly learn to produce things for their nations. It's acceptable by the course of their nations in a better way. So come in the next couple of weeks, the foundation on its forum will open what we call technology development. Like the beads of Alex, like the other materials and systems which are getting produced by people, it's in there. If you're a company, if you're a scientist, if you want to use the technology, you want to replicate it, you want to manufacture it, you can go to the site and pick up. The videos will be there. We teach you everything which is needed. This was our ethos, and now we're putting into action. So, from Foundation Forum does not stay as a point of discussion as whoever comes. It becomes a teaching point for people who are expert in their fields. And we put a panel in charge of each section. What does it mean? Like Alex will be in charge of the nanomaterial in conjunction with Armin. These can show the different way. And a number of people who come up with different ways of using nanomaterials in conjunction with power and other things. There are people in Philippines who have shown us how to use the cars. They will be put at another direction because they go. Alex and Armin has done in nanotechnology. We have new plasma scientists who are working. We will bring in groups. The process is on. So you will be working in conjunction with the scientists and agreement with the universities. We are coming in. Universities cannot patent our technology as we open the doors. So the change is fundamental, but now with time we have in past 3 months was all concentrated on teaching. Now it's concentrating on bringing all the forces together that we work as one. We need doctors to be on these panels of the health section. We need scientists who can do scientific measurement to be on these panels. Anyone who disturbs or tries to interrupt with their own personal benefit will be literally switched off. We are basic, religion,
Mr. Cash, you're
even the ethos of politics.
Hello, you're breaking up a bit there.
To financial interest, excitement, and the rest. The nation receives a lot of offer of funding by different organizations that they have a lot of money they want to support.
Mr. Cash? Hello,
the
Mr.
minute
Cash?
the comes says we have enough. We have developed as one forces of Cash Foundation worldwide the financial support that we do not need to look outside. There is no scientific research.
Mr. Cash?
Yes.
Your signal's breaking up there. I think Vince has advised that you find a better location nearby.
I'm moving. Is it better now? Am I better?
Yes, it seems to be better. Also, if you can move your microphone just a little bit away from your mouth, or put the little air guard thing on, that would be good.
Okay, no problem. Because I'm speaking through the handset.
Oh, okay. Well, it's very clear. Okay. It's good. Thank you.
Okay. So what we're coming to, that Cash Foundation from September becomes one organization, one nation, one scientific organization from across the world, without borders, without nationality, without language, without color, without religion. I know a lot of scientists in the religious group need them because they look at the knowledge different way than we do. On the other hand, it is very clear, and I made this very clear, irrespective of if you're a professor, a layman on the street, or a scientist, any teaching you do will be paid according to the international standards of the Keshe Foundation at €40 an hour. So the ones who we asked to become teachers are paid to be teachers, unless they waive their payment as a voluntary work. So people in China, €40 an hour must be good. In Africa is a lot of money, and in America it's peanuts. But the standard sets according to everybody the same. We are now, most of the workforce in the back of the Keshe Foundation, you see, are fully paid by the foundation. We are taking a lot of key works out of voluntary because they are putting their life into it. And we pay the best possible way that the foundation can support to expand. Now I ask all of you one question. If you are here to serve humanity to achieve peace, stay with us. If you are here to create division, to feed your own personal ego, please leave. We share equally. The one who came closest to us, when they don't get their financial rewards, when they don't get personal ways, they attack us. We've seen this many times. And every time they've done, we became stronger and we became better in serving, because people see through these positions and situations. We are not enemy with no one, no nation, no country, and no race. We put what we see has to be done. You know, you met the gentleman, or you heard the gentleman who came from Japan to put the position clearly on how TEPCO has used the technology. And at the same time, when they used him, then they sacked him. So how do we work? Do we support this man? Or we say, okay, you showed our technology is used, he can take a walk. No. What have we done? Now we have given the Keshe Foundation Japan in his hand, because he's shown to be correct and loyal for 1 year with over a year and a half from one company onto the hand of TEPCO and then being put aside. Keshe Foundation Japan will be run and be headed by him. We have a huge support in Japan. Even the people who are in Japan who are with us, we ask you to join him to commercialize the units, to commercialize everything for the Japanese nation, that they can help themselves. So what I ask, what I need is not important. What humanity can achieve with this technology is important. As I said again, in the next few days, we need every support we can from the soul of every man who listens to this program to support us through your soul, to reach the soul of the world leaders who are sitting on the table to talk about peace with us. In the next 3-4 days, I'll be traveling all over to meet, to discuss at the highest level with diplomats of the highest rank, to bring the structure of the world peace into its next level. And I've been told in advance, the position is favorable. So we enter a phase that using the technology, by delivering the energy units, by delivering the simple beads which Alex from Africa showed us, has put pressure on governments to understand the end of the energy supply grid control is over. In the coming weeks, we show the production of food from the same kind of plasma system. We show the production of materials, that it brings us the pleasure of living without the forces of having to live. We all work, we all, 99.9% of us work 8-10 hours a day to be able to put food on the table for our children, our family, and maybe to have a week or 2 weeks off. Why don't we change the table? We have 52 weeks a year holidays, but with pleasure we serve humanity. We produce things. We've seen Mike in US giving units away, the beads away for people to be able to have a free unit, free energy. We've seen a lot of people donating to the foundation that we can put units freely in the hand of the others. I thank you for your response for the power supply. We will meet, but you will have a surprise that if we succeed with the next phase of development, which is happening in the past few weeks, you will receive what are called pocket-size energy units. Let us test it. If it's confirmed, even the money we have spent in development of this power supplies currently, we shelve it because it's so changed so rapidly that we can meet all our demands. Every unit we have sold will be delivered on time and even before end of September, as we agreed to do. There is one point. What I understand and what I see is that a lot of people have not understood the work of the energy units. A lot of people do not understand the science of what we showed last week. What I showed you last week is very simple. You've seen the coils. When you saw the beads with Alex, very all of you to repeating making it. This brought the science very close. This brought the whole thing into understanding that you could see energy. I tell you something you hear now. This is a regular helicopter over the house, protection for us by military. If I could show you the camera, you see the helicopter right over the house. We are very well protected on a regular basis. Italian military keeps an eye on what we are, where we are, and how safe we are. So we are working within a safe nation. And we respect and we thank the Italian Air Force and military who support us and protect us. Let me explain one thing very correctly. You saw the beads. You understand the beads. But something has changed with the beads, which a lot of you could not understand. Last week, I showed you the springs. Then I showed you the structure of one bead next to the other bead. Understand something very simple. Each bead, each spring is more or less true reflection, true image of the magnetic, what you call magnetical or what you call gravitational field forces within the structure of any entity. This be it matter, this be it plasma, this be it a gas in a state of matter, this being solid in a state of matter, this be the GANs in a state of plasma, or this being a nano structure in a state of plasma. Yesterday, in trying to understand more about the technology in one of the what you call the chat lines, I explained this very clearly, and we repeat a lot of bits which we repeated yesterday for bigger audience. The confusion at the moment with the technology with most of you is that most of you have not understood one simple or have not managed, understood, but have not managed to separate two important points. And that is, you have a plasma and you have matter plasma. Matter plasma is a matter strength which, in the condition of a stronger field, manifests itself in tangibility. What does it mean? When you have a stronger field, you force condition on the fields of your environment. So when you have the Earth, gravitational magnetic field of the Earth, it creates, enforces its field's gravitational magnetic field, enforces a condition on the weaker level compared to itself, that in that position, the weaker strength magnetic fields have to obey the condition which is created by gravitational magnetic field of the stronger, which is the Earth. So in that state, you see different condition of the weaker field. If it is more compact as a solid, if it's less compact as a fluid, and if it's less compact as a gas. So the environment decides on what the matter shows itself, or the entity shows itself in different three states of matter. Matter, a solid, gas, or liquid. In the new physics, in the recent past, because the scientists did not understand it, they added a fourth state of matter, which they called plasma. But in fact, plasma is not the fourth state of matter. Plasma is itself a structure, an entity of operation of the bigger environment. So you understand how easily the two can be confused. How easily the confusion has come in, especially with the present, recent past, adding to the knowledge that we have now, by mistake, have brought the plasma as a fourth state of matter. The fourth state of matter is not a state of matter. The state is a state of plasma, which on its different strength dictates the condition of the manifestation of the matter in the strength of the observation. So it becomes very easy. We separate now the condition in two separate conditions. One which is conditioned on and one which conditions. The one which is conditioned on, we call it matter state, solid, gas, and liquid. The one which conditions, we call it a plasma. And then plasma is on its own free state, which has no boundary. It has its gas state, which shows itself but as a physicality without tangibility in a way, but collectively detectable, visible. And then in a matter state of the plasma, what we call the nano. So now you can see how we call it, how we divide it. You have a plasma, let's call it the principle. You call the transition, which we call the GANs. And you have a matter state of plasma, which we call nano. So we have to understand now there are 6 states of matter, one superimposing the other one, or one going from transition from totality to individuality, conditioned in a forced environment. So now we have plasma, which is a free plasma. We have the GANs, which is the state of what we call like a liquid. And then we have nano, which is like the state of solid in the strength of the condition. So now we're dealing with 6 different entities instead of 3. Then a lot of you have to move on to understand the interaction between each one of these and amongst each one of these and amongst a number of these. And some of you have managed to do that switch, but you're still not sure. I used to call it you're in a schizophrenic between matter and plasma or nanomaterial. Now I see a schizophrenic coming up between different state of plasma and matter. So what it is, in fact, we got to understand something very simple. What you saw, like the beads with Alex, is using interaction of matter, GANs, nanomaterial, And this made you very excited in a way that now you found a new source of energy. In fact, you have not found a new source of energy. You already had it in your hand. But the problem was that you do not and you cannot see what you are doing. What happens when you go from the principle, the strength, to matter strength? There is some energy released. And you're collecting that energy release and using it in a different way. So what you saw with the GANs, with the beads, was conversion of the plasma energy into the matter strength which you need. And that's why you see such a huge energy releases 5 times, sometimes 3 times, sometimes the same, sometimes 10, 20 times. So you have not achieved the free energy. In this process, in a very simple process, you manage to convert the energy from plasma into the matter strength energy of an electron. And this made you very excited that you found a new source of energy. This source of energy has been with us for beginning of the time of the universe. It's for the first time. Now you see it, you have to comprehend it. You have to understand simply what you have done. I'm just writing something to remember to teach. So what you have done is the new understanding has to be simple. You created the matter. From the matter, you produce the nanomaterial. You release the nano into a GANs. And now the GANs itself, as we've seen in your reactors, because there's millions of them next to each other in a little tissue pack, which Alex showed you, they create their own free plasma in between themselves. And they release this energy into the environment where the nano layers which you are turning around the package can absorb and transfer. This is what you have achieved, and a lot of you never understood. You're very excited that you put a piece of wire, you put some GANs in it, and then you are happy you collect energy. Understand the process. The little stick you put in the center, it just shows the direction of the flow of the plasma, nothing else. It does not play as a positive, negative. It does not play as entry or exit. It just shows a channel where the energy from the environment is delivered into the plasma. That, in that sense, with the ganses you put in the paste, releases the surplus energy outward. It pushes the energy of the GANs outwards, and then with a nano-coated wire which you put around it to the next bead, you collect what energy is released. This is the same process as a star formation. Now, instead of having 3 or 4 reactors to create a free energy unit, free plasma, now you have millions of them creating free plasma. And as they radiate out, the way we saw with 129, depending on a nanomaterial which is demanding you put outside over the aluminum foil, collecting it and delivering it to the next unit. You're showing another channel for the transportation of the plasma. But you're not collecting all the fields in that package. You're collecting minute amount of it. So now you see how unknowingly you have started working with all 6 states of matter, but you're blind to it because you don't see, you don't understand the process. Now you understand the process. I'm sure all of you, most of you, can add to the knowledge. Tissue is a matter state, and we've seen how matter has managed to encapsulate a plasma in its Ganser state. Understand, this is very important. To you, a plasma is like a sun, is uncontrollable. But if you create the right condition, you can encapsulate even the strongest plasma. Then you can use this energy. Then you can use this energy the way we define energy, as gravitational and magnetical. And then if you extend the knowledge, not only you can use the energy and then understand how to connect the gravitational to magnetical through the same structure understanding of the beads, you can decide if you increase the magnetical or you increase the gravitational. Then through the same kind of beads, you will be able to create motion and lift. It's the first time I start explaining these because the knowledge within the Keshe Foundation, within the knowledge seekers, is expanding rapidly. And we see the change. We see how people are trying to understand part, but they don't see the lot. The other point which has come again with these beads, yesterday with the discussions on the chat room, is that you're all puzzled by the next step. What you've done, as I explained, you brought the energy of the GANs into a plasma flow through the wire outside, the aluminum foil or titanium foil or whatever foil you put in. Now you connect this, for example, through to another wire through your cigarette lighter in the car, or as we see with our friends in Philippines, a genius way by circumventing the conversion of the GANs by just putting a nano-coated wire on the energy source in the battery. And you achieve motion. But you don't understand the next step. Remember one thing. Inside the battery, even you see a chemical process, due to the process of flow of current, most of the layers, metallic layers, even the plastic layers, are already carry a nano-coated layer. So a battery itself is an energy source which up to now man has managed to drain its matter state energy as a chemical reaction. With you adding a wire which is nano-coated, which has the same language or the same strength now of the nano layer in the battery of the plates, now you transfer the energy from a source in a different way down the line. Up to now, through the wires, you transferred vibration of electron, what you call electric current. Through these windings, now you have given the battery a chance to deliver its plasma condition too. But you have, in a way, tapped to a plasma source which was there, but you did not know. This is what I explained in the teaching yesterday. What you call the beads, you have a plasma which converts to what energy you need, to whatever you need at a point of delivery. At a DC, it becomes DC, AC becomes AC, at 110 is 110, at 120. Because it's a big loaf and it cuts as it likes. It's like the plasma within the structure of the body of the man. In the batteries of the present time, as I've said many times, you produce two things, DC and AC. And in a way, the plasma is empty. So now you tap into the plasma condition within the battery with these wires you put in. You do it as a bead through the cigarette lighter, or you do it as a battery. In the beads with the cigarette lighter, you created a new energy supply in the plasma condition. The same thing is the battery. You have changed the beads to the battery of the car, because the car battery is the same thing, converter of the GaNs material into energy, which man has never had the knowledge to collect it. Now with these nano layers wires, you manage to collect it. But by adding it on top of the chemical reaction current which you run the car, because the plasma is more powerful, it literally dilutes the electrical current which was flowing into the wire into, let's say, a starter motor, or into the what do you call it, converters of the energy within the structure of the car. So now you understand your beads and your batteries are exactly the same source. Both release plasma energy instead of matter energy. That's why you've been surprised how is such a new invention. This is just a conversion which happens in the universe. The energy of the plasma of the sun to the earth is DC, is not AC. When it arrives at the surface of the upper layer, converts itself through energy losses to a level of nitrogen, and then in a gaseous state of nitrogen, then to the matter state, and it becomes closer, and the environment of the earth enforces the condition of the conversion. So now in your beads you do the same thing, in your battery you do the same thing. In a way, the plug which connects the beads to the lighter is the same as that wire which you put around the battery into the wire around the battery to go to the distributor or to the starter motor. But once this field force enters a matter state of the wires, now it has the river. It shows it where to go. So now your fields, plasmatic field forces, follow the wires which are already carrying a plasma condition, but as electron level, what you call electric current, because electric current is still a gravitational magnetic field. Forward of it you call electric, reverse of it you call eddy current. Forward it we call magnetical, reverse of it we call gravitational. It's the same thing, it's the same word, it's the same principle, it's the same reality. So now with this plasma, you introduce a new field force which is stronger than the electron vibration energy gravitational magnetic field force. So now what you've done, this field force has a plasma going down the distributor, going down the starter motor, and as Rick corrected me yesterday, this is a crankshaft and not a camshaft. Okay, the crankshaft, what does it do? The field forces of the battery are fed through the new condition you put in. You put one spring on the positive, you put one spring on the negative. When the field forces of gravitational, which is pulling into the battery, and field forces of the magnetical, which is going out of the battery, or the same as your beads, they come to the point where there is no electric current. They have to change from one to another. They create motion at the point of turning off the engine. So now they convert the plasmatic energy to a mechanical, dynamic, kinetic rotation energy, which turns up to run the car. Now you understand why you're saving fuel, why you can run the car without the fuel. Because now the energy of the plasma, gravitational, has to convert to magnetical. And due to the strength difference, what you call the mass, because gravitational is always stronger than magnetical, it releases certain energy which leads to the rotation of the wheel and crankshaft and the motion of the car. So now you understand the process. Not just because, oh, we put this in and it gives us energy and it gives us motion. You can take the fuel tanks out. In the coming days, it will be tested in Philippines. Hopefully, our guys will tell us what the result is. And that's why you don't see such a fuel consumption. Because the only fuel consumption you have, because of the field forces and the design of the car, the fuel is getting sucked out of the tank. Because the motion is dictated by the crankshaft, which is at the point of the conversion between magnetical, which is coming through the field forces of the body. There is a question which I have to answer before you raise it in your head. Remember one thing. The process of conversion in the car takes days. So in the process, even the body of the car becomes nano-coated and part of the atmosphere of the whole system. It's not just to the electric current, because your car is earth. You always have an earth connection in your car, that you don't get the electric shock. And through that connection, you literally nano-coat the whole structure of the body. In a coming time, you will explain to us different features from your car, from the physical structure of your car. Because in time when these systems are used long term, the process of nano-coating will affect the paint of the car, the structure of the car. So in fact, in using the car with the beads and with these wires, which is nano-coated, you create your own spaceship. You become a empty compared to your environment. And then if you understand this and you can control it, the way you can control the gravitational field and magnetical field of what comes out of the bead or what comes out of the battery itself, this is what Alex explained to us, the steering becomes easier. I was talking to the others who are doing these things. They talk about engines running may be easier, the starter motor is no problem, and the rest of it. Because now you have achieved in a long-term use, not only that the mechanical part of the, let's say, starter motor or the camshaft is not used, you start achieving what has been to you the elusive lift. But you need to understand what you're doing. With a slight adjustments, you will achieve lift. That's why the steering is lighter. I explained to you, I'll walk you into it without you knowing. By the time you get to know, you will understand how easily the whole knowledge has been. So in a slow way, in a very, very slow way, you're entering to use your cars. If you understand the next phase and what I showed with Marco put together, we showed last Thursday, you should be able, some of you who are very knowledgeable, to see how you can make your cars to lift. And you can take the fuel tank out and put it in the back of the car. You can even take the transmission line and put it in the back of the car. If you've seen the videos, I don't know if Rick has it or it's in the archives, Vince can get to it, is away on holiday, he knows where the things are. Maybe we can show it next time. When we showed the car for lift on 25th of November 2011, the video shows you the fuel tank is in the back of the car, inside the car. The transmission line is inside the car. We show the picture, there is no engine. We even took the engine. We are more advanced than what you're doing now. Because if you can use the electric circuit in the car, the body of the car becomes the lift position. We have this video of the car, is in a safe. I will release it if it's not on the archives, there you see it. There's no engine. So we don't even go through the conversion of the transmission to the mechanical rotation of the motor. We actually sold the engine. The way we sold it was the mechanic said it costs money to take everything out. So we said for the payment, you take the engine. It was a beautiful diesel engine, and he took it as a payment. Because all we needed was the electric current flow to transmit the plasma. Only thing I needed was a battery. And for the first time, our dearest friends in Philippines have shown you the way. Our friends in London has shown you a different way of doing the same thing. You are reaching the maturity of understanding the process. But I do not go till you are ready. And I see a number of people on different forums of the foundation are ready for that switch. That's why I bring the topic up. So a lot of you have to let your engine run with this system. You have to let the whole line to be nano-coated. If some of you have tested the wires, for example, from the bead to something, strip the wires and you see the wires are all black. They're all nano-coated, that the wire inside it becomes a transmission of plasma because the matter state of copper is so weak that is overtaken by the flow of the plasma inside, exactly like the coils I showed last week. The flow of the field is inside the coil, not on the structure of the coil. This is the important point. This is what you have to realize, that this is where the change is. This is where the teaching brings now the plasma into change of position, enforcing the condition of the environment. The environment now is your car. When you run these systems, you actually, when you go in your car, you enter a spaceship. It's you who have not managed to switch on to take it off. Some of you achieved near enough, but you don't see how to do the next phase. I don't know if Vince has access because I don't see anything. Well,
yeah, I don't have access to that, Mr. Kesh. I'm not sure where
yeah,
that
we
video
show
is.
the video. There is on the archive of the foundation. We have, I think, some 30,000 pages of archives that we show the car with no fuel, the fuel tank in the back of the car with the transmission and no engine. Is because we didn't show we take the battery out. We didn't show we took the ignition key out. Because in the process, you can and you don't need. So in the very near future, I know a number of you are working in the background in different ways, are transferring back. You came from matter to nano to GANs. Now you're going from the GANs to plasma. You're taking the plasma back into nano, back into the motion of the matter and position of the matter in respect to its environment, what you call flight. So understand what's coming up. Understand that each one of you who made the bead and connected to the car, you made a spiral spring and you're trying to create energy. What is about to happen? If you made the beads and you connected with a wire to something else, after a while, if you produce a high current flow, just strip the wire and see how come the wires inside the plastic are all black. We've seen it with Marco and Armin. Armin, I think, took a picture of it. So now you're converting the energy of the plasma, enforcing it, creating a nano layer on the wire that enforces the energy through the wire to become a plasma to flow. And this is where the change has come. This is why there is no need for fuel. This is why you can take your tank off and you think, how come it works? Because if you go to the next step, you will take the engine out too. At the moment, not using fuel for you is excitement. In a few weeks' time, having a car without the engine will be more excitement. You are growing with the knowledge. A number of you are breaking through in a very smooth way. Those who do that in the background, they know I teach, I talk, I consult on a regular basis with you. Most of the deep teaching in technology development does not go on these teachings or in the classroom. It goes behind the scene where I support, I teach, and I teach a number of people privately or in a group of 2 or 3 that they understand they can bring the next steps, because it's concentrated teaching, it's focused teaching, and in time they'll become the teachers of their groups. Because I have time, I don't need to follow, because a lot of you just what I call monkey see, monkey do. You just see something, you don't stand still to understand it. In the coming days, we'll introduce a new method of health application, because one of you has done it the correct way. I stopped Dr. Elia Kostova to do it the way she was doing it. If she would have gone the right way, we supported her. The way she was going was perfect. He was highly knowledgeable. I thank her for her work with the foundation, but mistakes cannot be paid, because let me explain to you if you understood. I explained to you how the energy through the nanomaterial of the GANs can turn your car, and you're happy you're driving a free car. Now, the needle inside the body of the man would have been that which delivers the energy, and the engine to rotate is the brain of the man. The energy is so powerful, if you can run your car, when it transfers, it can burn the brain out. And Keshe Foundation cannot stand for ending a life. When we advise unconditionally for the benefit of the mankind, not to be with someone or against someone. It's for you to understand the correct conduct and the reason for teaching. Now you understand, very simply. You took nano-coated materials, you put cans on it, and you deliver enough energy to run a motor. A needle will deliver the same, more powerful energy, because now the gas is the skin of the man, and the energy delivered to the needle tools of the body of the man will cause huge death. This is why we object, because people don't understand the process. Now you've seen in the mechanical side, now you understand why we objected with an acupuncture needle. I have a meeting with the officials to make sure this thing does not ever come into the market. It's good, it brings a lot of knowledge in, it showed us transmission, but it has huge problem with the human structure. The same as running a car, it's the same power. How can, if you can see a car going down that road with 100 kilometers an hour, you put 20 needles in the body of a man, nano-coated, like 20 beads connected to each other, you run a car. Can you imagine what happens to the body of the man? Death is inevitable. And we had to stop it for the good of man and for protecting Dr. Elia Kostova from any criminal allegations in the future, because it would have come back to the foundation. We protect our people even they are not aware of it. It's the job of a father and a mother to guide and see when they go wrong with the children, to put it right. Doesn't matter how much it hurts the child at the time. So you understand the process. Now you see it in one, it's the same thing in the other. Now go to the next step. Understand more how the movement of the fields can create positioning. How the movement of the energy in a plasma condition can create material. How you can stop a process in a way at a certain distance to give you solid material, to give you a gas, or to give you a liquid of the same material, or the fields of it without the material. Then you enter the process of producing anything you like. In a teaching to Armin last week, he asked me, please, can you explain to me one thing, how you create flight? As usual with Armin, on the back of paper we sit and talk. I explained to him, because this is what it is, this is how it is. When you create a star formation, and when you put the beads the way I have shown last week, and you understand the work of it, the way Marco has put together, one in the center of the diameter of the star formation, and one on the boundary outside. Then you control the gravitational field, and then you control the magnetical field. And then when you put the speed just above the height of the base star formation, you will create what has been your elusive building without material. You create a structure, and the structure is the shape of UFO. If I had the camera access, I would have explained to you, we can't get camera access. Remember one thing, when actually without having a camera, it's very good, because you have to go into your thoughts, you have to imagine, you have to illustrate things in your brain, and then it stays in your DNA. And then when you're understood by your RNA, you get up in the morning and says, I know how to fly. Go back. Remember one thing. Remember when we spoke about the skin of the man? 3 layers of ganses led to manifestation of the skin of the man. The same with your intestine. The same with your heart. Go back to the teachings of Dr. Kostova. Every time we went through the physical structure definition, we saw layers. And it was explained as is like a star formation, the base. Now, you have the 3 base star formation reactors. So you have to consider the field from, let's say, base number 1 in respect to the base number 2 and 3. At a point of, let's say, 2 is 3 fields coming together. So you have made the point of manifestation of matter level if your distance is completely correct and your mixture is correct. Then you have the same with 2 and 3 in respect to 1, and 1 and 3 in respect to 2. So now you see, you created the condition of elusive physicality. Now, if you put bead number 4, or what I call the inner ring beads in the gravitational point, and outer ring beads as a magnetical, now you bring 2 more elements into operation, the environmental and internal field forces condition. The outer bead creates the environmental, the inner bead creates the internal forces. Now you will see the manifestation of the structure of UFO without ever having a single bolt, nut, or piece of iron, copper, aluminum, or titanium. This is the essence of creation in the universe. This is the essence of manifestation in the universe. The 3 nano layers on the north pole of the Saturn will do the condition of the manifestation, but the field forces internally and magnetical field force of the planet give us the physicality. The skin of the man would not be a skin of the man if it was just because of the 3 layers. But because of the gravitational field of the internal structure of the body of the man, in respect to his magnetical, which has become the point of interaction between the phase of the fields and the environment, gives the physicality of the skin. So you need minimum 5 forces to create physicality, tangible physicality. So in a space, your material you don't carry with you. You don't carry bricks and mortar and screws and panels with you. You create a condition that the interaction of field forces due to their structure lead to the manifestation of the structure. So when you see a flying object which is made with the correct combination of the cores and the beads, will lead to the top, which itself is the reactor number 4, which leads to control of the totality of the fields, and then you see the object. Because now the 5 field forces in interacting release fields at a matter state in respect to the environment you're in. So the same object flies to another planet because it has a spectrum from the principle to the matter state of the environment. It will be still the same, but it will use different strength fields at that point. So for the first time, you understand the structure of light in the universe is not done in a matter state, but is done by the interaction of the fields. You do not need to carry any material or anything with you. This is what I wrote years ago in the Keshe Foundation website. We will not be carrying anything with us, because now you understand why. For the first time, man understands the reason, the scientific, logical, correct way, what it means to create matter. So now, maybe today, we open another chapter in the knowledge. And if those of you who are versed with this understand, and you can use to condition that field to your car, and understand how to use a conjunction of the star formation and the beads, now you understand the SSI power unit, which I explained to you a few weeks ago, and you saw the Italian design of it last week. I told you, you fly with these systems. Because now you have the star formation. The structure of the center plate is a way that allows you to have everything you need in flight system. Now you understand how advanced the technology is, not in even understanding of the man. So you don't need to create matter, you don't need to create a car, you don't need to create a physicality. If you see and understand the work of the design which I put together, and Marco finished it, I showed it last week on the big frame, and then you understand the transmission of energy and power through the springs. I think from what I know around the background and from the government sitting listening to these teachings, you have seen how you can make the first flying machine without a single screw. Because when the fields of the base and the beads in a given position are in force, they create a platform of the walk of physicality. And then the division between the beads internally and externally create the structural division for the whole magnetic gravitational field of the structure. And what you get, the shape of what you call UFO, is an automatic creation. And if you do not use the central 3 base beads and bring everything to the center, you will see a structure of the sphere, and this is how planets and the stars are created in the universe. The stars planets are created through exactly the same position principle as what I just explained to you in creation of physicality of what you call a UFO. And that's why I say the Earth is nothing but a spaceship in the space of universe. This is now you understand how physicality is given even to this planet. This planet is nothing but a mirage of the fields which are different in strength in respect to its internal has taken the structure. Now you have to bring the knowledge of the core, now the knowledge of the plasma, the way we showed in last week as circles around internally and externally. And then if you get all of it correct, the manifestation of UFO will be in front of you. You can walk in it, you can enter it. You can create a field condition that you can walk into it. And as you change position in the universe, because it's made of a plasma itself, it will take field forces accordingly in respect to its environment. It will never dissolve. It will be always. And because you made the reactors according to the fingerprint of your own blood, your DNA, it always stays in the matter state of your DNA that you can live within it. Now you understand how the change has come. In one night, change the course of humanity. But it's for the wise ones to understand. Some of you still will be busy with GANs. Some of you will go into the operation of the beads. Some of you will go into operation of the springs. Some of you will go into operation of interaction of the plasmas. But at the end, if as one race you put all your knowledge together, all of you can achieve the production of plasma in the state of matter, and then you understand the body of a man is nothing but a mirage of field forces. And this is what we say we don't understand what you're fighting for. It's nothing but interaction of fields. And why does man go so far to damage the structure what this field makes to live a perfect life as the soul of the man? We kill, we go to discredit, we assassinate. For what reason? Because there is a lack of understanding of creation and ignorance of existence. They call them terrorists, they call them assassins, we call them whatever we like, because these people are not human, they are below existence of being. This is what now you understand with technology. What are you fighting for? What's the reason when you can put fields together and you can have whatever you like? You can put fields together and destroy what you don't like or extract what you don't like. Aggression, guns, poison. There is a peace conference in Tehran by the end of August. And hopefully one of our foundation co-members will be there as he's requested to be. Then in that process, he's given the knowledge to be able to explain. You got to understand, now there is no limitation. If you put a structure to it, you call it a matter state, you call it UFO. If you don't put a structure but you can control the same, you call it the emotion of the man or the soul of the man. Start understanding the sixth state separately, collectively, and in interaction with each other and in respect to each other. There are millions and billions of combinations into this interaction. Higher field, lower field, higher gravitational, lower gravitational, higher, lower magnetical, higher gravitational, and then of different strength too. So when you put this together, then you see why you have a grapes, the cup, the water, the sky, the leaf, and everything else, because they all come through the same process. It's for you from now on to understand what fields interacts with what, if it's a matter with the liquid of the matter state, or is it the plasma with the state of the matter. And then most of these mysteries and new breakthroughs become a logical way to work and produce materials. There is a huge change on the horizon. A number of you are working in that direction. But as usual, all of you don't understand. And the ones who understand have to, or they must be able to explain it in a simple languages. I give you overall guideline, overall look. And some of you break into it and you go into dividing it into simpler ways to explain it. And we need now these groups of people in different part of the forum to come together, as I said, in their own specialty fields, go one from the other, from another to another, or collaborate in 2 rooms, in 2 sections, that they bring knowledge right across. Do not try to chase each other who can produce what energy. Try to chase each other to give each other's knowledge, that the other one can become better, that by his gain of knowledge can make you a better person to gain more knowledge. I've seen this with the Philippine group, and I thank you very much. You're a gift to the foundation. I've seen the same thing with Alex, and I've seen this with 2 or 3 other groups which I'm supporting in the background. We will not disclose anything until fully understood by the people who are inside the group, that then they can teach correctly, not just running out, as we say, as the guy found out about the specific mass or whatever, and ran out of the bathroom naked. I found it. We all have found it. It's just now we have to be prudent that the people who listen to it understand it. They can replicate it. They can protect their own entity life in the space. And this is how it's going to be in the next few weeks. While we are off teaching, this is what we're going to do. And when we come back from teaching, the teachers will be appointed to teach their specific fields. I will not be teaching much in any of the sides, only in the workshops and maybe 1 or twice a week. The rest comes from the knowledge of man to teach the man. Our aim is one thing, peace. And the ones who disturb the peace, they have their own agenda of confirming their own existence. That shall be. We don't oppose no one. Because as I said very recently, an organization like Keshe Foundation, which works this way, carries tens of millions with us. If we don't get opposition, it means we are dictatorship, and be silent. We let people talk because they have to talk. That way we know their position. We know their ignorance. We understand self-ego is more important than collective help. They destroy anything to confirm their existence. Let them be. There's no objection. Always being, this is how they exist. We pray for them, we give from our soul to the soul, that they might elevate to the point that they become part of the human race, to support human race, not to destroy. But understand how you work. Understand the whole objective is not just being somebody who can show something. It's being somebody to be able to teach, to be able to spread the knowledge, to be able to add to the knowledge that the others can understand. I could have explained to you how a UFO is made a year ago. It would have been no meaning to you. Now, because you made the nano layers, now you made the cores, now you see how everything is gelling together. Even the shape of the leg as you've seen in the drawings of the Keshe Foundation Space UFO, we call a spaceship. If you have a wisdom, what I explained, you see how the legs, the protection of the cores is done automatically through the interaction of the fields. You don't need to protect your cores. And if you understand furthermore, you will understand that you don't even need the cores. The creation of the rotation of the fields in the core beads will lead to creation, rotation of magnetic fields of what you call the cores. So this is for the future if you understand. Then you will understand there is no core, there is no rotating core in any of the spaceship programs. Because the fields in a given point, while they convert to matter, then they become GANs of their own to feed the rest. There is no motors. And the rotation comes from exactly the way you convert the energy of the beads to rotation of the wheels of difference. If you understood that, you can create a condition with the beads that it leads through the formation to creation of reactor 3 base and the top. So now you see how you have to go backwards. Then you understand there is no need. And then if you this by control of the beads, or what they call the new spring system, which I've shown, if you understood it, in conjunction with the free plasma, which we have shown, then you can see you can make a structure without any motors, a structure to carry millions of people without any physicality. What was puzzling for me, and I laughed a few times, is that these guys don't understand. They want to make a spaceship to carry millions, and they don't even have the materials for it. Can't they see the position of what it means, how they have to achieve it? Now you understand. It's you who decides the size of the ship. It's you who decides the size of the strength of it and how and what you can carry. I explained this, but nobody understood. So a year later, I explained it again. Now you understand how in each section you can develop different materials, different environments. You carry even different, what I call species of different strength, gravitational, magnetic field of different part of the universe. Let us understand fully what we are talking about. I repeat, use of 3 states of matter and 3 states of plasma. A free plasma is like a gas, a liquid is like a gas, and a solid is like a nano. But all these live, work, and operate amongst each other of different strength and different positioning of both gravitational and magnetic. Now you can say 7 combination out of 50 gives you 14 million combination. That's how you win a lottery. Now you can imagine different strength, different 6 materials, plus the plasma that you produce, which is the plasma of the soul. You got your 7, then you understand what combinations in your head. Try to understand this and try to understand the work of the plasma, gravitational within magnetic. This is how they work, how they spiral. Understand the two have to exist for an entity to be able to survive. And then when you put 6 of them together, plus the interaction of enforcing platform, you give it the manifestation of physicality. So teaching of today is very simple. You have understood for the first time how to make a UFO without ever using a single screw. And in so many ways, in the future, when you gain more knowledge, you will not even need the plasma, but in time, you will understand. You can use the field forces of the free energy of the universe to create any structure anyway in the universe. It's you who's got to give it the manifestation according to your own understanding and the field of strength of visibility, or hearing, or being able to convert one to the other one to be understanding. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Kesh. I may have to put my headphones on to stop the echo here. Okay, so Brett did have a question. Let me get it up here. Okay. You can smell, you can hear that being poured. Okay, Brett says,
Yeah, last is 11 o'clock. I think I'm allowed.
yes, I would think so. Let's keep moving around here. Okay, Brett mentions that you mentioned the nanowires in a car will become coated and absorb plasma from the environment. Is the plasma or energy from the environment the same as the pastel colors I see in the air that move around like ocean currents?
This sky is very special and sometimes gets carried away. In a way, yes, Brad. In a way, no.
He's mentioned being able to see these sort of colors and things moving in the air and so on.
We all see. We all of us see. We all have that ability. It's just that some of us, we haven't managed to do it, but some of us are more sensitive to it. That's why Brad sees things nobody else sees.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking that if he's able to see the plasma, then he should be able to see it as it interacts with, say, a nano-coated coil or a nano-coated wire.
No, each one of us have a different gravitational magnetic field strength in our vision, line of vision, that we see a specific field strength.
So it may not be the plasma that you describe may not be what's seen, though.
It's the same plasma, but you see a specific strength of it.
Right, okay. Mm-hmm.
By the way, Brad, all the best.
If we were to see the full spectrum of the plasma, that would probably be too overwhelming for humans to have that vision.
The full spectrum of the plasma is only visible to the creator.
Okay.
Nobody else. You all see, any creation in the universe only see the part which is applicable to their own strength.
Trying to find some other questions here. There's one. Doug McDonald had a question, but I'm not sure exactly if it's going to make sense now. Was at a particular time earlier. He says, is this what the soul of the man or any entity has done in creating a suitable physicality for themselves? I'm not sure what that was in reference to.
It means a lot. Let me explain to him. He's correct. Well, at the point of conception, the same process as what we explained today, that the plasma leads to the creation of motion, and then it manifests itself by moving car or whatever. Once the soul of the man is created within the womb of the mother, or any animal or any creation, and the point of the creation of the soul, then the soul dictates the position of the plasma of the entity in physicality. Then is the physicality which decides on its own in how to manifest itself in respect to its environment. That's why the souls are all the same. So it's the soul which delivers the energy, what we call both gravitational magnetic field, and it's for the environment which decides according to its environment the physicality. But the soul in essence is always the same. The soul appears in the womb of a woman, let's say in Europe, in Northern Europe. The condition of the physicality of the atmosphere in the north dictates light skin and fair hair. So that is the condition that the physicality takes. It's very correct. It's a very correct way to put it, and I thank you for that question. But then you have to understand it. Then you have to use the same channel of physicality to elevate the soul, to confirm the existence the correct way.
Okay. Got some questions from John Suede regarding. He's asked questions.
I haven't heard from him from a long time.
Oh, you know the name.
John Suede.
The fellow that is interested in shielding and protection and so on against different rays and different forces that might be impinging. So, excuse me. He says, I have a list of questions concerning shielding. Maybe you could pose one or more in tomorrow's workshop. He says, optimally, there will be a mobile shielding that can be carried or worn continuously. Is this feasible? And if so, will it be part of the initial release of, I guess he means of products from the Keshe Foundation?
I think he hasn't understood, or maybe if he listens to the teaching of today, he will be very successful and be able to make his own shielding.
Okay, and he asks, is there a target date for release of such technology?
Well, we have a problem with that. And the problem with that is, do we release the shielding for benefit of one, or do we release shielding for benefit of everybody else?
Right.
Why do you need to be shielded when there is no problem?
Right. Like he mentions in the part C, will the full capability of the protection be available, or has the design been modified to make it safe for release? There had been
Everything
some
is
question.
safe. The people, let me tell you one thing, the people who scaremonger about safety of a plasma, they have never understood the plasma. And I keep on repeating it. The plasma takes the shape of the environment which is needed, and you take from it what you need at the point of need. So, in so many ways, what we were discussing yesterday morning in the chat with the others when we were talking, you take from it what you need according to your thoughts, not according to your wish. And if your thought is in line with your wish, it becomes my wish is my command. And this is what these guys don't understand, and I've seen a lot of rubbish about it. He says his wish is command. Because when you don't have an insight of the reality, everything is, is a joke, because it shows the ignorance. As they said, I always say in the early time when the cars came out, a man used to walk right in front of the car with a flag that the car is coming, and they said if you go more than 25 miles an hour, your eyes will pop out and your ears will bleed and you die. So these people are of the same caliber, and this type of the line of thinking is of the same. The plasma takes the shape and the point of the need and the demand. Even we were talking yesterday that you get into a car with these new systems. If you know how to operate the work, your wish is to go to your work, the car will take you to the work because it knows the point of reference where you have left the track where you want to be. Do we need a GPS? No. This is how the birds find their way. This is what we were discussing yesterday. Millions of birds fly at the same time next to each other. Millions of fishes swim next to each other, but they never touch each other. But they all follow the same pattern because their wish is to be together at the same time to be distant to survive. They create their own gravitational magnetic field plasma. In it, they receive the information immediately from the direction of where it comes if there is a danger or there is a need for a change of course. At the same time, they create themselves a magnetical field that the other bird and the fish will never cross it. I explained this yesterday. We see caves that millions of bats come out of the cave every night. They never touch each other. We see in a school of fishes, millions of them, swimming together. I explained yesterday I used to swim in waters of Bahamas. But I used to go snorkeling in the deep. A lot of you have done the same. Is we see a school of fish, you just become part of a school. Hundreds of thousands of fishes around you. They don't touch you. They don't come close. But they know they give you a gap to exist, and they exist amongst you. And when they move, and you don't move with them, they come back like telling you, you have to come this way. They come back again to take you with them. And if you follow them, they follow you and they surround you. They protect you. So you don't need a language. By the fields, interaction, you know the position, you know where you have to go. And the Earth gravitational magnetic field with the sun has a baseline. And that baseline never changes. The baseline is continuous. It's the same with the soul. If you look at the design of the reactor base, which we showed last week with Marco, if you look inside, there are two baseline solid copper tubes. Base condition on a human's amino acid on both, which means guarantees the survival of man. Does not matter which way the gravitational magnetic field changes. Look at that structure. The structure in a platform, in a cage. I said to Marco, he wanted to put the structure behind, says he cannot, he didn't want to show it. I explained to him this is one of the most beautiful systems ever made, if the man understands what is done. The ignorance don't understand. But if the way I designed it and Marco has put it together understood, you will understand that structure of control, the way it's there. It gives you the physicality, it gives you the energy, it gives you the control of both magnetical and gravitational, and then you understand. There we are, our friends are back again. Italian forces continuously follow us. The neighbors tell us we never seen at all, and we never seen so many helicopters continuously over one spot. They come, they check. It's amazing. Our neighbors lived here for 20, 30 years. So you got to understand the totality. You have to understand the structure. Then you see the way I set the design for the beads. I've explained that to Armin and Marco, why the beads has to be 6 and 12, 6 in the inner core, 12 in the outer core. And then if you understand the interaction of gravitational magnetic field, then you understand that this combination is the combination of the rotation of amino acid, DNA, and RNA. The way the structure is set will create a spiral movement, which on that spiral field creates the correct magnetic field, gravitational field in respect to the environment of the existence. This is very important. If ever man studies the field flow in the shape of the plate which Marco has put together, the way I've designed it, the way I explained, he understood everything. He's one of the most brilliant scientists I've ever seen. He contemplates in the work because then he understands what it does. In so many ways, you allow the spiral field out, but in so many ways, you allow the spiral field in. The helix of amino acid of what you call DNA or RNA, one is gravitational and the other one is magnetical. No scientists have ever understood this. The field flow in the double helix is because of one is gravitational and one being magnetical. Until they don't understand this, man will have a problem. But maybe for the first time now we start explaining, they start looking at this. And then as the field changes, then it creates a different force fields, and then you see the springs which we showed. Then you understand why I showed the springs. In a private teaching, I'm explaining a lot of things in development, and it come on in a very, very different way, even from today. But understand how it's created, how you control it. You can control the field flow through interaction of the fields according to their strength. And I have not seen this done yet by any of you. We saw some work with the Chinese, and then it disappeared. The Chinese Keshe Foundations in 3 or 4 labs across China, they have to become part of the central teaching of the Keshe Foundation. They are connected to their souls, they are connected to Yang and Yin, understand both physicality and emotion. And we need these kind of people to be able to open the knowledge into the followers of the Keshe Foundation. You got to understand how it works, why you have. And the structures I've shown you is exactly how the universal structure is. If you look at the beads yesterday or last Thursday, one is Yang and one is Yin. But they work together, they allow each other's existence, and they work within each other. Don't look at the physics. From now on, when you see anything we show, when you see any structure we show, when you see any circuitry we show, please be blind to what you see in the physical. Try to understand how the fields flow. Try to imagine how the operation of the fields will create what condition. By putting these nano-coated, we just show the channel of flow because we want to influence it. The spacing of the gap between each spiral has a different force. The tightening of the spiral has a different force. The opening of the spiral into a sphere and closing it has a different field force. Now, with this spiral, I've given you one of the final stages of the field flow that you can see the matter state. As I said, I've completed my knowledge for you to understand how to interpret. If you interpret it the right way, you have a palm tree. If you interpret it the right way, you have a cow. If you interpret it the right way, you have a UFO. And a lot of you have been asking me, who is he going to show a UFO? Where is he going to build it? I don't need to build it. I show you how every one of you can build one. Every one of you has the power to build his own UFO.
Franz comes up with the question, do I really need to create a spaceship, or has my soul already everything inside needed to travel safely in space?
There are two ways to look at it. Would you like to go alone, or would you like to have a people with you?
Right. And
put it this way, your soul already travels this space anyway.
And is it safe?
Of course. What do you think? Is the ignorance of the man who makes it unsafe to confirm his own existence? Anyone, anytime, speaks about the plasma or the guns to be unsafe, these are what I call agents of death, because this way they confirm they want to confirm their existence and the others have to die. There is no fear in plasma technology. None whatsoever. The universe is made of plasma, and if a plasma interacts with your body, that your body decides it needs it, it means it's the path is chosen. Not what you want. I've seen a lot of scaremongering going on. This is a problem with this to children. These are all agents of the governments who are trying to stop the still carry on abuse. Your body is made of plasma. How come nothing happens to it? The universe is made of plasma. How come nothing happens to it? These are what I call, we have terrorists who carry on, we have terrorists who play with people's mind. They are paid agents. They have to bring these things out, because this way they get paid and they receive what they want in physicality. If there is a danger with the plasma and it's not safe, then you should have been dead. I mean, there's no need for you to be here because you're dangerous. The purpose of teaching is to show that plasma exists, and it's us. We are made, even my voice is made of plasma. And if my voice is poison to your ears, so it means you're not ready to hear the truth. And those who hear it as a music, they use it to elevate the soul of the man and the community of the man. Let me explain to you something which we see around happening, especially in the past few weeks. The change of the course is so positive that no one can change it. The Keshe Foundation carries tens of millions of supporters around the world. We will get oppositions from every corner as the financial benefit doesn't suit a certain group. We know there is a number of people in Germany who become the biggest against Keshe Foundation because we did not help one of their friends or uncle who had a cancer or something, because if we would have helped them, it would have been good. But because we haven't helped them, they become the biggest enemy. They become everything which is wrong with the Keshe Foundation. Life of a man is limited. It shows their ignorance. We know who they are. Do we attack them? Do we do to them? No, because they have to come to understand. Soon their term comes over as well. Those who go out and write all sorts of things about people, personal, and anybody who's anywhere, dividing the Keshe Foundation, these people need support with their soul. And this way, they said everybody gets 5 minutes of fame. They try to go on the back of your hard work to 5 minutes of fame. And we've seen what happened. They diminish. The audience at the beginning thinks there is something new, and then they disappear. But they lose their respect and position in the society within the structure. Because you're all getting wise. You understand how to do it, the way you do it, and you know how energy is used to waste time and waste life. These are called the agents of death. These are what they call the new terrorists, internet terrorists. Terrorism doesn't come by the guy who throws a gun or a bomb somewhere. These new version of terrorism, it comes through these things. These people have no soul. And don't feed them, because pray, give to their soul that in time they'll disappear. What knowledge you are creating, what knowledge the Keshe Foundation supporters around the world are putting together is so fundamental and is changing so much that we don't need to talk. We are showing with action. In September, when we delivered the energy units, the following that we'll deliver the lift unit, the following that we'll deliver the health units, maybe sooner. And then it's for people to understand how to use it. And then we see how these terrorists work. Every time, whatever you do, there is something wrong with it, because the paycheck doesn't come through the post if it's not done. They can open as many websites as they like. Very few, a handful of people listen, read, and they know it's a waste of time, because the energy has to be spent in developing the peace and the equipment. And we are very open about it, very, very open. We don't oppose, we give for the soul. But you'll get the same thing for Keshe Foundations in all over the world. Those people who see their life in danger because of what you put in the public, they'll make everything wrong with whatever you do. We've seen it with the guy, we heard him last week, the prime position, well-paid position, because they wanted to cover, they put the man on the street. But it was good. Now the Keshe Foundation puts man in the highest position in supporting the Japanese. Use these negativities for the advantage of positivity for human race, and use it through your thoughts and your souls. Now the time has come for you lot to go into the next phase. Last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I start telling the knowledge seekers, we increase the knowledge release so rapid. Now in 1 week you've seen the spiral. Now some of you will understand, I'm sure the governments understand, you can start building the first UFOs. Now you see we are on target for 24th of September. If one nation does not, if two nations make the move to make the first move for the peace, we will not do anything until the 1st of October, because you don't stop the process when you started to show that you're there. We have requested and we ask His Excellency President Putin to take the flagship of peace. We'll see how his soul behaves. And we've seen how we asked you, all the core members and the rest, to give as much as you can, not only to him, but with the neighboring nations. In the background, there's a lot of work getting done. In the background, there's a lot of support is getting raised, and I'm sure His Excellency President Putin will receive positive news in the coming days. We make sure that will happen. We have influences, we have position of contact, which we try to use to create the environment of peace through knowledge, through technology, and to the benefit of the technology for human race. Please, all the Keshe Foundation followers, we listen to these teachings, concentrate on your work and your energy in a positive way to bring new technologies out that it can be done and given freely. What our friends have done in Thailand, in Philippines, is amazing, and I thank them for it, and you'll see more from them. What we've seen in England, what we see here, what we see coming out in China, and the young chap in India, these are all gifts to humanity. It's for the man to realize the gift. And I thank you for all your work. It's amazing what is coming up. And I'm just there to guide and no more. I add to the knowledge when you are ready, because the rest of it you will not understand. So please concentrate. Worst thing we need is we can force the peace, that through peace we have the elements of the forces to implement the development of the technology and vice versa. Concentrate on what it can add to humanity, not in divide to confirm existence. As I said, I read you something which I received today, and I read to Caroline when I read it. The writer knows who it is. The writing is very simple. This is what I received this morning. The message read, "Thank you, Mr. Cash. You just made me the richest man in my village. Thanks." I wrote back to him, "Village of the earth is too poor, as the knowledge of universe too rich. You have made the path little easy for the man with your simple richness of sharing it openly." Common man looks for the wealth, and through our eyes we look to the richness of knowledge to be spread. So it depends how you feel rich and how rich you want to become, because if the existence is reading with understanding, then we have achieved our point, because you receive the knowledge through the soul, not through the physicality and the voice. We don't preach, we teach, and the teaching needs guiding. Especially, you can teach a man how to make a car, but if you don't teach him how to use it on the road, he'll crash himself and he'll kill himself. So while you give him the best car, you teach him how to drive it and how to obey the rules of the road, that he doesn't kill himself. And this is the same. You go to the school to learn to drive, to learn the rules. The other guy has made the car for you to be able to drive it. And that's what we do. We put both together. Any other question?
Hello, it's Modric. I have some questions and I have something to show on what I was working on. If I can share maybe my screen.
Go ahead.
I cannot see your screen. Sorry, you have to explain. I'm a blind man today. You have to explain to me the beauty of your work.
Someone will help me out also with explaining what I'm showing.
Who's speaking?
This is Modric from Malta.
Hi, Modric.
You can go ahead and share your screen there.
Injection reactor?
Sorry?
I said, how is your injection reactor? You have one of the most beautiful reactors I've seen. Very flexible.
I keep working on them. So I was thinking about another things as well. So I was planning, what about if we make something like a live shower when we use these twisted wires, like how the plasma goes, like where is in the middle, they all meet each other, where it's created free plasma, and then you twist it out like when the gravitational goes and magnetical go to the opposite side, and in the middle you insert the tube where the water runs. So like that, it's balanced the fields out, and then it's like goes in a shower, and like if you put some GANs rings or something around it to get the fields that your body looking for to feed you, it could be the live shower.
I can't see your image, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe Rick can help me explain, because my English is not that good.
Well, basically it's the concept of the flow would go from the outside and then into the inside of this coil, and where it would be transformed in the center and then come spiraling back out again into the shower. So
let's get to this description. It's a flat coil, like a pancake coil made of a water tube, shower tube. It starts from the top, it's spiraling into the center, and when it reaches the center, it turns around and it spirals back in the opposite direction.
Is it the same as the spiral coil you have, Rick?
Quite similar, yes.
In this case, it's show how the galaxy turns. Usually, when you showing like the magnetic, like how the direction of magnetic fields and then the gravitational fields. So it's the same spiral. Just inside, I made it like a bubble where the fields connect together, so they make interaction. So like that, they balance out, and when the fields go back to which we're gonna go shower to you, so they would be balanced. And in that way, I thought like maybe we can extract some things which we don't want from the water and actually add something that we want in plasmatic way.
It's a filtering process.
In one way, I thought it could become a filtering type of.
Yesterday, Rick, the guy who was showing us his spirals yesterday, is he online?
I think that was
Yes, I am.
John Anderson, I believe, right?
Yes.
Yes. I don't have access to the screen. Can you share the knowledge you shared with us yesterday, the way you made the spiral and your logic behind it and the way you positioned it with your battery in the car, please?
Okay. The spiral
Because
coils
then
were.
can you bring what just we heard from Malta, and then it more or less brings a lot of things in line.
John, could you show that picture again? Do you have that readily available?
Yeah, we have to change the screen share.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, there we go. And where are my pictures?
Explain
Great.
everything from zero with all your logic behind it and your understanding.
We've got a good
All
picture
right.
there now, so go ahead.
Okay.
I mute myself that I don't make noise in the background.
I started with roughly 10 inches of solid copper wire. I just pulled it out of regular 14-2 house wire. It's actually the ground lead from the house wiring. And I wound it in these spirals, as you can see, with a short little tail, approximately 3/4 of an inch. A little easier to see here with the little tails. And I wound one in a clockwise direction. I wound one in a counterclockwise direction. Now, I did the opposite.
Excuse me. Can you explain how you do it? Because a lot of people don't understand how to do a clock and anti-clock. To them, it looks the same as spiral.
Okay, if you look at this version here, you'll notice from the center, this travels outward in the same direction that a clock turns. If you look at this one, from the center, it travels outward opposite the direction the clock turns. That's what I mean by clockwise and counterclockwise. Both of them looking from the same orientation on the coils themselves. And as far as the physical making of the coil, it was just a pair of needle nose pliers and 10 minutes watching a movie while I was doing it. So, I try to be neat. I don't expect anybody to be as neat. I'm sure some people could be even better than this. But I don't think at this point, I wasn't too concerned about neatness as far as getting the spacing in the coils all exactly the same. If I needed to do that, I would actually make a machine that would wind these things. But anyway, the purpose behind the clockwise and the counterclockwise came from a discussion we were having on another Skype room. And what I looked at was not only the physical, the matter state electricity coming out of the battery, where the electrons will travel from the positive pole to the negative pole. They're always going to try to go in that direction. And also looking at of ancient technologies, the yin and yang, the feng shui technologies where they look at the balances in a room or the balances in a lifestyle, that sort of thing. I can't remember. There's one other Chinese technology that I can't remember the name of it, but what they describe is an exit is a counterclockwise rotation and an entrance is a clockwise rotation. And I thought, okay, well, this is ancient stuff. The ancients knew more about this sort of things than we do, so let's just go that route. So that's why I have the two different orientations on my spirals, using the counterclockwise. This one here, I don't know if you can see my mouse or not, but the one on the right would be on the positive terminal of your battery. These were intended similar things as what they're doing in the Philippines. I got this idea actually from a fellow who did it with a motorcycle. The counterclockwise would go on the positive terminal. The clockwise would go on the negative terminal. Now, we discussed this yesterday, and Mr. Kesh explained quite clearly that this is actually working as well with the gravitational and the magnetical fields, where the positive would be the gravitational fields and the negative on the battery would be the magnetical fields. And this would create a balance within the system so that the flow would be constant through the battery. It would draw it in on one side, pour it out on the other, draw it back in on the one side, and it would constantly circulate through that battery. And then you would draw off through your electrical system in your car what you need. This opened a whole bunch of different things I was thinking about today, different configurations that I can do to make this more compact, more efficient, higher power. And because this is just the first idea that I had of this system. I can't think of anything more. Is there anything specific that you wanted me to explain, Mr. Kesh? I understand. Oh, no.
A bit of an issue with that. So just hang on. The Skype call is, I need to try to get him back. So just a minute, I'm going to mute, try to get him back.
Okay. Is there anyone else out there that, if there's anything specific that you need to understand about this, please ask, because I'm at kind of a loss. I got so many things in my head right now. I'm having a hard time keeping a lot of it straight.
Hello, John.
Go ahead.
Could you explain or show some type of visual representation of how these were specifically placed on the battery?
Well, I can explain it. The little pins that are hanging out the bottom, after they are encapsulated in a plastic cover and sealed up with silicone, you can see them here in this view. That little pin just drops down into the slot in the lead battery clamp on a top post battery. Now, if you have a side post battery, you'll have to adjust a little bit because they're probably going to be sitting sideways in the car. But these ones, they just sit right on top of the battery terminals with this little pin here that you can see standing up. That just slides down into the slot of the lead post battery, or the battery clamp.
To understand what you just said, does it slide down as it's seen in this direction, or is it upside down and slides in?
In this view, it's pointed up. It's upside down. So in the view, this view, you'll see them. That's the way they would actually sit on the battery, with that little pin pointing down. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay. And it was asked while I was showing this yesterday if there's airspace in around the coils and if there's anything else in around those coils. And at this time, there is airspace in there. There's just a ring of silicone around the outside, as you can see, with another plastic. It's the same cap. I just took the little side lip off, so it was just a disc, and a blob of silicone in the center just to keep it all stable. Now, my original plan was to encapsulate these in GANs. And I found out yesterday, Mr. Kesh mentioned that if I was going to put GANs into the system with the nano-coated wires, it would have to be dry. If I wanted to put liquid GANs in, they would need to be insulated in some way, which in this case, I would fill the top cup with GANs and put another lid on it. And that would make sense. Now, I don't know whether I'm going to do that right off the bat. I want to get some results back from this first, so I have something to compare with. But he did say that that would be the next step. Now, I'm thinking...
To further, I mean, now today we add to the knowledge than yesterday that your battery is a source of against itself energy. But if you want to guarantee a support of energy, you can do so. In the next couple of weeks, we show another way of increasing the power in the GANs in a very much simpler way. Armin has already made a system like this. We got to test it when he comes back and with the other people we are working, where we submerge the nano coating in the GANs. We done this in a simple version a few months ago, and Eric Clausen said they copied my system where we already designed this years ago. Now I brought it back for it done. Now we add a new dimension to this, and in a way, your cup on top of your wire is addition to the same process. And it's nice to see how gradually a number of people are coming to the same way. But try to explain to us the way you see the energy flow now compared to before yesterday. If you manage to transfer the knowledge the correct way, and the others can learn from it too.
If I understood what you were describing yesterday correctly, if you could visualize energy flow when these are mounted on top of the battery.
Could you repeat that, John? Mr. Kesh had to have my Skype microphone on. He couldn't hear you there. So just repeat what you just said. Go ahead.
If I understood what you described yesterday correctly, and one could visualize the plasma flow itself, what you would see would be a loop of plasma running from one post of the battery to the other post, making a complete circuit within that battery, constantly flowing in a big circle. And then you would draw off a little bit of that plasma energy into the vehicle as the rivers flow. So it would seem to me that the battery would be sort of like, because you had described it as an ocean and the water system on the earth, where the oceans are the reservoir of the water systems, and then they go into the air, travel through the air, rain down on the mountains, and then flow through the rivers down back to the sea. I envision this as the beginnings of that cycle, where the battery is the ocean, and this flow of plasma from one pole to the other on top of the battery, it would be very similar to the water traveling through the atmosphere looking for a place to go. And it would just constantly cycle through that over and over and over again in a big loop until it found another route out, another river to flow through, which would be the wiring and the body of the car. Is that roughly what I should be experiencing?
Should be, in a way, yes. But in the position of transferring from magnetical to gravitational, the way you pulled it and you winded your wires, that position changes when it goes from one to another, creates a mechanism for the motion, because this is the point when the electric current has no point of reference. Let me explain to you something interesting in the camshaft, the way you see it, the way it works, and why your engine runs, is that your engine is electrically disconnected once you come to the crankshaft, once you start the motion. Up to there, you connect it to the starter motor and the alternator on the other end. So now, for the energy to go from a starter motor, which you created the plasma, it goes to the structure of the motor itself, which has got no electric connection, And the next point of transmission is your spark plugs, which goes into the distributor and back to the battery. And in that position where the plasma comes up to the starter motor and in contact with your system, the engagement point, to the spark plug is where the energy transfers from magnetical to gravitational and creates the rotation to physical motion.
Oh.
Now you understand.
Oh, so
Good
the
morning.
next
As
layer
we say,
would
good morning. You
be
got
to have
enlightened.
one side of this, either the magnetic or the gravitational, probably the gravitational attached to the block, and the magnetical attached to the actual spark plug, so that there
Good
is
morning.
that the
Good morning.
separation between the two needs to occur where that motion should be created.
Yes, but don't forget your intention counts into it as well.
Of course.
Now you understand. Now the puzzle is a bit more complete.
Thank you.
Now you understand what's happening?
Clear as mud.
Clear as the mud.
It's getting better. I can be a little thick sometimes, and I've been classically trained in physics, so I'm fighting a rather raging bull at the moment. But I'm starting to get this.
We were sitting with Armin, with a guy who's a biochemist last week, and I was explaining this science of plasma, and he said exactly the same as you. He says, I'm a biochemist now, I have to turn my mind. It changes everything I studied, and I heard this one a lot of time from a lot of people. But the point of reference comes when they come to that point that they say they wasted their life. They say, oh, I believe it when I see something. That point they convince themselves, no, at least I have a gap. I bought myself a gap time. So you don't need to buy yourself a gap time because you already made this thing, you see it yourself. So
yeah, it's just I need to come up with some way to visualize what's going on. And once I can visualize it, I can go crazy with this. But I'm
don't go
just
crazy.
trying
We
to
don't need
get my
crazy
mind wrapped
people around
around
Cash
how
Foundation.
to see the plasma flow. How to
You got to understand the flow of plasma goes through a plasmatic condition. The wire was the indication, and at the point when it came that there is no electric current wired as you see it, but the physical connection of a plasma. So now it goes through the matter state, which goes through the crankshaft, all through the crankshaft, and then up and into the spark plug. But because you set the motion with the start of the engine, the rotation of the motor, so now it showed a way to feel and feed the forces of the rotation of the crankshaft. If you take the motor out and the crankshaft out, now the field forces have nowhere to go but to create a position in respect to the Earth's gravitational magnetic field and lift. Because now you created a shortcut. When you take the motor out and you take your tank out, the field will still go through. Now it has to find absorption or a position dictating gravitational magnetic field. Now you understand why your car will lift. But you have to create the right fields in the right way. And because you use like plastics and air as the tires, you already have created the separation according to the air in the magnetic field of the plant or the leaf or whatever. This is where the separation comes. You already have positioned yourself through the air in the car. So you're already detached from that point. There's a lot of past technology which favors the man to move into the plasma lift without burning fuel. And one of them, this is the air in the car. You see it as floating the car off the ground, but that's what you need to be in the next step of lift. That you use that to your advantage because you already created the separation. is holding the position of the separation through the plasma you create in the battery and to the body of the car. And that's why we said the shock absorbers, now they dictate more, enforce the position of the separation. But that's what I said, understand furthermore. Because you put the ignition in, now they transfer the motion in the kinetic into a potential plasma difference to a kinetic physical matter motion. And then you create the motion in the car. But if you take the motors out, now your body as a gravitational magnetic field finds this, because the field from your reactors, from your beads, from your coil on the battery does not stop because it's dynamic. On the boundary, it loses to its atmosphere, so it demands more and it absorbs more. And in that position, it reaches, if you can create enough field, it reaches a point that the car will levitate or it does not levitate. It finds a new position in respect to the gravitational field of the Earth.
Yes.
As I said, be careful you don't sit in the car when the first tests are done.
I would hope that I understand the positioning well enough that when that first happens, it doesn't want to be 4 feet off the moon.
That's what I said. Make sure the wife is not in the bedroom upstairs.
Yes.
And you don't put your cat or your dog in the car while you're testing the first flights or first saturation.
Yeah, there was another fella that had a question.
This Modris, I was thinking about the system because I have the same like 2 wires that you show them separately. I have built everything inside in one. If you stop sharing the screen, I can show and point it on my screen.
Can you explain, because I don't see the screens?
Yes, I will now share the screen and I will meantime explain. So example, you see you have the same thing, just 1 wire, and then let's say red is going to opposite direction. So you have two coils. So right now you have in one twisted system 2 coils, and inside, if you put this ball that I'm showing in the middle where the fields meet up, you can put the dry GANs there. So the fields goes here in, and then like if you take this one would be the if this would be the battery, so this would be, let's say, plus, and this would be the minus, you can connect it and you have the same thing just in one coil. What I was, when I was creating these things, I was looking between interaction between these magnetical and gravitational and this positioning. And also what I was trying to do, I was trying to make in the end, when the fields was like in a plasma, either towards to the center, the wire is twisted more narrow to make the fields to be more stronger, and when it towards to the end, it goes a bit wilder. So like that, you kind of.
What is? I think you just said something and you passed it very passively. But it's very important, maybe you understood it, but a lot of people don't understand, is that you explained that you made the spiral tighter and narrower.
Yes. In the end,
this is very important. A lot of people don't understand this.
I have another system.
This is extremely important, because if you make the spiral very tight, and what you've done, if you put the dry GANs in the center of it, you create faster transmission from the principle to matter state. And the tightness and the smallness of the core, the expansion of the core, separation of the spiral from each other, all have effect on how you produce things. And not many people understand this. They just wind a coil or buy the spring and they say this is does. And it doesn't work or it works. All these matters. When you make a bead with the spirals, there is a way to connect it. You just don't go what you've done with the beads. It's important how you merge the fields together, how you allow gravitational become gravitational, magnetical become magnetical. Winding a wire is very important because it's not a wire anymore. It's a passage of the field of the plasma. And you just mention it and you pass it. But 99% of the people you spoke to don't understand this.
System. Yeah, I was working on this quite long. Right now I'm showing another system where it is like star formations inside, and this ball is actually another star formation, and I managed to make.
I can't see the pictures,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
it's very hard to describe. You're gonna have to.
Have you
be able
actually
to see
physically
the
made
pictures.
this, or is just a drawing?
Right now, so I made from the current from the battery small reactor ball, so I can now fit in ping pong ball star formation. So and now I was working because I want to finally understand how it works and then to make, because to making takes a lot of time. So I prefer to fully understand and then make.
What I'm going to do, I'm going to invite you to come into a meeting of the 3 or 4 people we are working in the background with the same kind of thing. That maybe you get enlightened and you can add to the system you're making. This is a small group of 3 or 4 people. We are working in the background with the same kind of concepts. Maybe you see a different way that you can use in your system in conjunction with the star formation you have in your what do you call it, in your fat boy. I call it 3-legged fat boy. Contact Rick or Vince, and they put you through to me through a different way, through a secure way. And then I invite you into a meeting which we are holding regularly every day at the moment. And then you might be able to bring that part of the knowledge which you have plus what we can add to it, or you can add to our knowledge to create a position. Because I think it's time for you and the people from China with the fat boy to come into this discussion to be able to show the full lift control system. Contact Rick, can you put him through the secure way to me that I can bring him into the discussion teaching on the other side?
Okay, that sounds good. We can do that.
Thank you. I would appreciate that.
Hello.
Yeah, we're good there.
Hello.
Thank you.
Can you hear
Are we
Mr.
there?
Kesh? Can you hear us?
Anybody can hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Hello. I don't know what's happening there.
Rick, can you ask my question? Add my information that I put in the chat.
About the submerge them in CO2?
Yeah, or some other GAN setup. My microphone sucks. So.
Did you
Okay,
hear what I said, Rick?
Yes, we heard what you said there, Mr. Kesh.
Okay, okay.
Brett's saying something about, can I make a suggestion to him? Make another set and submerge them in a CO2 or other GANs container set up for making GANs. The air bubbles should grow GANs in them. I did this 10 months ago. This may make a more powerful system. That's what Brett says. I don't understand what he's saying there.
Yeah, but we passed that point, Brad. That's all.
I understand what he's saying.
Okay.
Yeah, just get in touch. Get in touch with us through Rick. Put him in touch with us, and then I will explain to how it could be done. Because with the system you have, you're a gentleman from Malta, am I correct?
Yes, Malta
Yeah.
Foundation.
I've seen your system with it. We'll discuss this later on because it's part of technology which I think a lot of people are not ready for it to be disclosed yet. But we'll discuss it in the background to make it ready in due time and bring it public.
Should we do that? You want to do that through Skype? Do you want him to have Skype access or some other?
Oh yeah,
way?
give him a Skype access and
Okay.
then we bring him in through the other
Sure.
channel.
Okay.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
There is
Anything
one
else, or shall we call it a day?
You understand what I was saying?
Yes, yes, we understand, Brad.
Okay.
We understand.
was
Are you
another
okay,
one.
Brad?
Sorry.
Are you okay?
I'm good. I'm just sitting in a hotel restaurant.
Talk later. Read my answer. I'll give you an answer back today.
All right.
Okay, okay.
Okay, I think that's pretty much it with the immediate questions. Let me see, there might be
I
some.
have more questions.
Well, I'm sure. Okay.
About the breathing, and like as we know, the breathing is the direct influence on the emotional part. And
Hello? Hello, Modris. We can't hear you.
He got emotional, I think.
yeah, sorry, somehow it's locked my mic. So about the breathing, I have a lot of questions about that part because I've been studying some time before, and I saw when the scientists did experiments on the kids who was very bad on the studies, and they just applied them certain type of exercise, breathing exercise. They didn't change anything in the studies, and those all kids will start to study perfectly. So like we know, the breathing is the part to, this is the direct communication with emotional part. So I was thinking maybe we can expand a bit on the breathing of let's say if we hold the breath, which type of fields is absorbed, which strengths of oxygen or another gases, and how they influence us. Or it's already too late today to start opening this topic.
No, there is never late, but the breathing and the rate of breathing and the energy transfer is very much individually dependent. You can do the same process of breathing with 10 different people, and you'll see 5 might be successful and 5 might not. You have to understand where the breathing comes from and the point of breathing comes from and what energy is needed in which part of the emotional part. I do this quite successfully sometimes with cups. The ones who have had the cups, they know the cups have got 2 levels. And I change the levels because at one point it might not be needed, but when the other part, the other position is used, it might bring the level for the other part to become active. So the is not what energy you absorb, it depends what energy the body needs to absorb. Sometimes you look at the physicality and the breathing, but in reality, there is no difference when we use the cups and we dictate the motion, like the winding at the end of the battery and the wires. When we give these cups, we use the same result, but we direct the direction of motion through the channel of thoughts. What this means is the lines are there. Now we use the same lines to change the condition within the neural system, but actually from outside, not inside the body of the man. You'll find out it works much more effective. But because they hold the wire or hold the tube to breathe, they already directed. And you find some people oppose it because if the opposition is not put up, then there is no need for attention, even in intelligence. I always believe all men are of the same standard of intelligence. It is the physicality which decides to what level to reveal itself. And when we give these breathing cups or you change the breathing process, you bring in different levels into operation because you absorb different energy in different way of breathing. If you breathe and hold your breath for 1 minute, if you can do it, the energy conversion in your lung is totally different. It's not that just you're holding your air, you're breathing, because the conversion is continuous. So you go, as we say, if you remember in the teachings, that you go from the strength of the CO2 to copper oxide. Because you use the lower and lower energies totally, now the higher energy strength come into operation and transfer through the lung wall of the lung to the blood. That's why the breathing has an influence. We see this especially with MS and ILS people quite a lot. People in the latter part of the MS, when they join us, the breathing is like 15 seconds, 20 seconds maximum. Then you see the left lung is maybe 11, 12 seconds, and the right lung is about 25 seconds. And then you measure later on through the process, they go up to 30 seconds, and then the right lung lasts longer than the left. It all shows which side of the brain is operating emotionally or physically and how much energy is taking. We've had cases where we've gone to from 20, 25 seconds, it's all documented, it's all videoed, to 1 minute, 20 seconds, which even with the doctors was amazing how where it's going to go down the line after a few months, you increase your breathing and then changes the absorption of the lung. And then sometimes you find out the right lung hold. Don't forget, the position of the lung is controlled through the position of the emotion of what we show in the breast. Mother always feeds the child on the left side first, usually. If you look, the heart of the man is positioned to the left side. It's connected to the emotion of the man in a true sense. A man, when physically is in contact with a woman, always usually first uses the right. And then you find out when there's a problem with the man, cancer appears on the right breast first. Problem with the mother or a child on the left, which is closest to the heart, direct energy transfer into the lung, which carries the emotion. So when you have a problem, you got to look which lung is taking more energy or less energy. Because when you're disconnected, you want nothing to do with it, the time of energy take is lower, which means you don't go to the higher strength to have a higher emotion. You want to attach yourself with it. The detachment comes into it. When you change and then you see the increase on the right side, it gives you the understanding where the problem is, if its attachment is to the physicality or is to the soul. Breathing is the doctors have not understood this yet. When you see the breathing can change, you have to see if it makes a change in the right lung or the left lung, and when it switches. When you feed the physicality through the lung or you feed the emotion to the lung. The longer you can hold the breath or change the rhythm, let them breathe through the left nose or the right nose. If you repeat the same process an hour later, exactly, let's say 65 minutes later after you did the first test, you might see a difference because different lung operates, the lung switch every hour, you go from the left to the right lung automatically and energy absorption, even though you breathe through them. Then if it's to the left, you try to understand the energy absorption in the emotion. And then if it's shorter, it means detachment. You're not prepared to invest more energy of a higher order. It's not just what you see, you have to understand the totality. And then the transfer of the energy into emotional and physicality in respect to each other, in respect to the point of reference of the time. These analysis of emotion has to be done in a very precise way, especially in respect to breathing. The left lung, the right lung, the time you test it every hour, every 65 minutes. Because let's say you're in the wrong position, the next time you end up in the same position plus, and you repeat this for over months. I do that a lot with my volunteers. The people who come to us, they know. I ask them to breathe and hold. And then I give them a chance to breathe on the left and then breathe the right. And then you measure each. Then you understand where the emotion, where it's set. Most of the MS, ILS, they have a very short, long breath on the left side towards the heart. These are the knowledge which I can transfer when the right people of the right science are there to do. And then you change the energy to the cup that both get the same. They bring stability and the peace to the soul. This is very, breathing is a channel to the soul. The food is a channel to physicality. And if you can control the emotion through breathing and understand where, you got to see how long, which part of the lung shows expansion at the time. Where do you go to call upon energy from the lung when you're holding? Because you still need energy. Do you bring it from the upper to the lower, from your soul to your physicality on the right side or on the left side? When you ask people to breathe and you ask them to hold, then you see sometimes people swallow the saliva. That's the time of switch. When you swallow your saliva in a certain rhythm, changes the switching of the lung too. These are all knowledge which has to be transferred and the man to understand. And so it affects your emotion, affects your soul, and then you see the change. Why do we, when in Italy, when you pass a beautiful woman, you see the man turn. But the beauty of it is the woman turn around to say, I appreciate you, appreciate my beauty. And what do the men do? They go, mama. That breathing shows the emotion. It's beautiful when you walk in Italy in the streets. You learn about everything emotion can carry. These are the most emotional people I've ever seen. Now, for me, it's just like a school of learning. I watch them. I see them the way they behave. And then you see the way they breathe in their behavior. It shows the connection between their physicality and emotion. The way we speak and we breathe clears the state of mind. Here in Italy, women, especially the ones who are dressed to kill, as they call, they know who and how their reaction. They always look back to look, you appreciated it, and they wait for the confirmation from the man. It's amazing living here. And they gain energy from it. And they do it through breathing. Physicality shows different things, but the way they express their emotion in respect to beauty of a woman here is amazing. And the way the women do through their breathing when they see a man and they entice a man. This is what I call the most Catholic, un-Catholic nation I've ever seen. And it's all done through emotion. We think Italy, they're also Catholic, with Vatican here. They are the most un-Catholic people I've ever seen. They are Catholic by name, but the most emotional people by nature and physicality. And they show it through their breathing. And then they follow it with emotion, the way they move their hand, the way with the posture and breathing and the talking, they show their emotion, and the state of emotion with their breathing and with their physicality, what they want and how they feel about what they want. So emotion has a lot to do with physicality and the way you breathe. Any other question?
Gur Peters asks, he says, I suffered from a collapsed lung a few months ago spontaneously. Why? What made this happen?
I don't know. Are you married? Or ask the situation about what you wanted to separate from. Collapse lung in so many ways has a different reasons. You got to look into emotion, what comes separation of emotion. Or is it the physicality which cannot handle the emotion in transfer of energy? The brain says, I have enough, I can't handle. So I'm not accepting anything, but the lung has the energy to deliver and it just collapses because it cannot repeat itself. And in a way to replace itself with the energy which is supposed to come in. It's the same as we get a fluid in the lung. It's all to do with emotion. When you get a fluid in the lung, what happens when we get a fluid in life? We get drowned because we are under too much. We see a point of no attachment. If you can feel the bottom of the water, the bottom of the sea, you can touch your pool, you're attached to your life, to physicality. When you're drowned, you can't, because otherwise you would have been connected. Why do you get a flood of the lung? You're drowned. You want to be detached from the physical life to be flowing in no attachment. You know what happened in your life. Always look 6 to 12 months before with the lung problem. With the physicality, look up to 7 to 10 years before. Then you find the reason. Any other question?
I think you've answered quite a bit today, Mr. Kesh. You've gone for almost 3.5 hours here.
It's Modest again.
Thank you very much indeed.
I think
we come back next Thursday. Hopefully we'll have more news. Please support us through your soul, through the world leaders and the nations, that we can achieve peace and work as a unity, as one. Doesn't matter how they're trying to divide you. The ones who want to divide, they have a purpose. We pray for their soul. The ones who are there to unite, we pray for your souls. We give from our souls. We don't pray. We give from our souls, that your move and your action brings prosperity to the rest of us. And as I said before, I thank His Excellency President Putin for the initiative, and we will respond in the coming time with the move he's made in a positive way. The foundation and the supporters of the foundation and governments will respond positively to your action, Your Excellency.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Kesh.
Thank you indeed.
Is there anything else you'd like to say before we go?
No.
Or? Okay.
Have a nice holiday. We are working, but we are on holiday working, or working holiday, whatever you want to call it. We meet next Thursday and we see where we go.
Great. How's the lab coming along? Have you started to put it together?
We moved.
Oh, congratulations.
We moved yesterday. Now we are totally finished with Loom. There's a structural problem with Loom. We just found out that the finances we paid to Loom was never transferred to Loom, and there's a bit of corruption with or deception through the people who organized us to go to Loom. They've taken the money and they have not passed it on to Loom. And now we understand why Loom has a problem with the whole structure, but it's the thousands of euros has been paid, which is never been forwarded. There seems to be some sort of a corruption and money laundering in a different part by the organizers who introduced the two part. We've got to see what happens. We are glad to be at that position, out of that situation, because it was all set up around a lot of illegality, which we are not aware of because we don't come from this part of the world. We'll see what happens. All the best. We're
Yep.
in a new center, new life, new cycle, and it's brought us a lot of joy, a lot of new developments.
Sounds
And
like
you've seen the first development this springs are one of the first we released because of it.
yeah, it sounds like it's going to be a great place for you there.
No, Vince has been there and others. In September, we open up and see where we're going to go.
Great.
Thank you very much, Rick. Thanks for
Okay.
everything.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Kesh.
you. Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks to everybody who presented things today and to all our listeners. And that's the end of the 73rd Knowledge Seekers Workshop. And it's Thursday, August 6th. And things are things are ending here. So I'm going to end the workshop for the live stream first of all.